The Pope returned to Cluny and began to organise backing for his plan to create a church army. Then he summoned a large church council at Clermont Cathedral. He let it be known that he was going to make an extremely important announcement at the end of the meeting. There was tremendous excitement. Nobody knew exactly what he was going to announce, but they knew it was going to be something out of the ordinary.
An accursed race, a race utterly alienated from God, has invaded the lands of those Christians.
In the event, the crowds that turned up to hear him were so vast, they had to hold the meeting in a field outside the cathedral. The chap who painted this picture 400 years later didn't get it quite right.
Your own blood brothers are either subjected in their homes to other masters, or are driven from them, or are flogged and exiled as slaves for sale in their own land.
Now, this was slightly misleading. The Turkish invasion had been over 20 years ago, and they treated Christians quite reasonably. Paintings like this are medieval tabloid journalism. But the Pope was building up war fever, and to do it, he offered a spectacular solution to the problem of being a Christian knight. Christ had been misquoted. It was only a sin to kill Christians. They couldn't get into the city because it had stout walls, but they could at least loot the villages around it.
They ravaged the outskirts of Nicaea, acting with horrible cruelty to the whole population. They cut some of the babies to pieces. They impaled others on wooden spits and roasted them over a fire. Old people were subjected to every kind of torture.
Well, this action was of limited effectiveness in reducing the world population of Muslims because the Crusaders' victims, old people and babies included, were once again Christians. Nevertheless, the French returned to Kibitos extremely pleased with themselves and bragging about their booty. Whereupon the German contingent decided they had to go one better. They marched beyond Nicaea and captured a castle, which the Turks promptly surrounded. Unfortunately, in their rush to get in, they failed to notice that the castle well was outside the walls. After a week of roasting in the Anatolian sun, they were desperate, drinking their horse's blood and even the contents of a sewer. Eventually, they surrendered. However, surrender wasn't that easy. They were given a choice. They could either be killed, or, if they preferred, they could convert to Islam and be enslaved. Faced with the choice between circumcision or death, a lot of the Crusaders seem to have chosen the latter. However, to do him justice, their leader Raynald faced up to his like a man and was duly led off into captivity. The Turkish Sultan then sent 2 spies back to the 20,000 French still at Kibitos to spread the rumour that the Germans had actually captured Nicaea and were going to keep all the loot for themselves. Well, this triggered off such excitement amongst the French that when the rumours proved to be false, the cries for justice changed into cries for vengeance, and they set off anyway. They walked straight into the trap. They were ambushed 3 miles down this road, and the People's Crusade was finally wiped out.
So great a multitude died that when they gathered up the remains of the fallen, they heaped up not just a mighty ridge or hill or peak, but a mountain of considerable height and depth and width. So huge was the mass of bones.